Alright YouTube, this is 2cent back with my 2 cents on Echoes of Mana, and today we are talking about Angela. Our new 4-star lady here. She is out on a new banner of her solo one, if you're looking to only pick her up. However, I do think the card is good for her too, but let's get into her review and you can kind of make your decision from there. First off, for gearing Angela, we're going to use that felt set for that plus 100 intellect. This will probably be replaced very quickly once they bring along a fire damage, increasing set, probably in the next armor, dungeon upgrade. And then on the right-hand side, we're going to be using Maple to get the 18% intellect buff there. As you can see, I still haven't gotten a ring yet that I feel like is worth using. They've basically been all trash or not for Maple set. So that's what I'm working on currently for that. So we got my 4-star Angela here. I was managed to get her to +3, got some lucky pulls, and then the free Benevodons that we had, I just kind of threw into her. I wanted to be able to get a few of these unleashes to be able to kind of test her out. And man, I do really like her skills here. What I have found, and you'll see in the background, I just have some of the event just kind of playing back there. She is really good at just being able to sustain out there. Part of that is this the new memory gem. I do have that on her, which allows her to regain HP if she falls below 50%, but then also gives her a good boost too. However, the real piece for her sustain is really in her own kit of being able to get her own mana back. I found that, in my previous video, I was running free to play with Muselene, and she would just run out of mana just super quick. And then here I am with Chrism Wizard, and then he'd run out of mana, but at least he had rulers on, and so I'd switch him out for Popio, and then be able to switch back to him. And it was a lot of switching because I kept running out of my mana pool on my fire mages. However, if you're looking at some of the runs in the background, I know I'm in there with another, top tier Angela there. We have one that's a max, I think their power level's over 11,000, so I felt like I was getting carried a little bit in this. But even when I was running matches without this other individual in there, I felt like she was able to almost stay out on the field 100% of the time during it and to be able to kill the boss. So that's really good for a mage to not have to worry near as much about that MP regeneration, especially without even utilizing a card that specifically helps with MP generation. So that's, I was going to give her a really good review almost just because of that, but she also hits really hard, and her abilities can hit from pretty far away. If you're looking at some of these, like her Blaze Wall, she doesn't have to be right up next to him. She doesn't have to be like in a certain line, and it still hits. It's got that multi-hit on it too, which really kind of racks up her ST. And then obviously when she gets her special technique, she's getting MP back. It's just a really good combination in my opinion. She also has her limitless potential here that gives her that extra intellect on top of reducing her MP cost. You can just kind of tell that these characters are starting to become more complex, and their kits are starting to really kind of synergize with each other. We've seen that with Lady Black Pearl, but it was kind of like at the end of her unleashes where she was finally getting her full kit together. And I think if you got her maxed unleash, she's one of the the best characters in the game. It's just super expensive to do that, so I'm not going to recommend her for anybody. However, this Angela, I think, does a really good job, and we have really good kind of supporting characters with the 3-star Muselene or Chrism Wizard to be able to kind of back her up. And so I think this is actually a pretty good free-to-play unit to go in on. If we're going to look at her unleashes here, she definitely gets that normal ST 100% gauge at the start of the fight. This is great to have, especially since you can pop your buff, and then pop your ST and gain the mana back that you would have used for your buff. So I think that is really nice to have on her. And then extra damage on her skill, and then this is what the piece I like to get is to the support skill. So my kind of looking at for investment or characters is if you're going to pull, make sure you have enough gems that you can at least hopefully get a couple copies of the unit. I know that's kind of like obviously really hard to do, especially since you could go all the way to pity, but my kind of thought is unless I have some Benevolent Spirits or, you know, enough gems that I really feel like I can get to this point on a character, that support point, I'm probably not going to pull. Now, I know that's not for everybody. Some people are just happy having the +0 or the +1, and that is completely fine, especially if you're just enjoying getting the characters for who the characters are. But I always suggest going to this support piece if you can do that. So this is just a nice flat damage above 50%. What I like about that is it also stacks really well with the card on this. And that's something that we need to talk about as far as this banner is concerned. We have the solo banner for Julius, the solo banner for Angela, and then we have the joint banner. I actually am going to suggest pulling on the joint banner. And that's for two reasons. I think that Julia, especially with the +1, is a very good unit to have to be able to support. If you can get him at +1, that is pretty much going to be really nice with that extra 10% you have on here. To do that fire damage, as well as being able to provide the spirit down and the intellect down on boss targets or anything like that. We haven't seen that needed yet in Bravers Arise. In fact, it takes too long to switch over. But there will come a point where we're going to want to have these characters that have all these breaks on it. And I think, you know, even if we don't utilize his skill, like you don't see me switching too much in my current event, having that 10% attack buff or fire damage buff is nice in that case. So having him pulling on that regular banner, getting him to +1 isn't going to be horrible. But also with that, this memory gem that I keep bringing up, I think is just one of the better gems in this game currently, especially for your mage units. That's an extra 18% intellect that I am just gaining anytime I'm above 50% HP. And then I'm being able to regenerate it should I, you know, have get hit by things or stuff like that. I don't have to rely on somebody else in a multiplayer party to heal my unit, and I don't have to like worry about switching in my normal runs or anything like that and trying to heal over. So that's really nice. But that is not what I would think the only great thing about this card. Look at the luck stat. I only have this thing at +2. Yes, I was lucky and pulled a few copies of it. But 89 luck on this is phenomenal. Having this thing maxed out would be great. I'm going to keep pulling on this banner, in fact, until it goes away, just to see if I can get one or two more copies of the card. I'm not so much worried about getting more copies of Angela. She's already really strong. More copies obviously going to make her stronger, but this card now and going forward is going to be great on any mage unit that you want to put. Or any really intellect-based unit that's out there, which isn't always just mages. So, anyhow, back to the to Angela. All right, so as a manually playing unit, Angela is going to be easy a 5 out of 5. I think she's got all the things to make for a top-tier mage. She's got the damage, she's got the being able to sustain her own MP, and her kit just has that nice synergy on top of doing a lot of damage. So definitely you want to keep her over that 50% HP because that's going to help with her supportability. But even if you only have her at +0 or +1, I think she's going to be a phenomenal unit in that regard. Now, it is sort of difficult to say, yeah, you spend your gems on Angela when we do have Crimson Wizard. But we're starting to get to that point where we have multiple units that can kind of fulfill the same roles. And so if you kind of want to just keep waiting and keep getting the dupes of Crimson Wizard, I think you're going to be fine. You're going to have that kind of already niche filled, but you just have to worry about your MP generation. So you're going to need to have a specific memory gems to kind of take care of that, and another unit to kind of swap to while they're regenerating their MP. So I do think Angela is actually a straight upgrade from Crimson Wizard, and I hope none of you, try to murder me in the comments for that. So that's kind of where I'm sitting currently on her. Now, as far as AI controlled, she's not any better than any other mage out there, which just means horrible, because then they don't use their abilities frequently enough. They don't stay at the range that they need to be at, and they find themselves in the Red Dead, kind of spots on the ground constantly. So that's kind of my review for Angela there. And we're going to put another video out really soon for Lark of should you pull for him. give me a subscribe, and I will get back with you. And that's been my 2 cents.